How's it going, Thomas?
What's up?
Good to see you.
You too.
Glad to have you. How's it looks like are you in a hotel room? It looks comfy.
Yeah, just sitting here watching TV.
Right on. Hey, we're super appreciative of the time. I know you're a busy man, especially with a fight coming up, but we would just love to ask you a few questions. First of all, how are you feeling? You know, you have a fight on Saturday. Like, does it take a little bit for that to like settle into your mind, or are you just feeling good, feeling relaxed?
Feeling good, feeling relaxed. Coach Mike Montoya says, enjoy the process, enjoy the journey, and I'm only 5 pounds from weight, so I'm just chilling in the hotel room until my pops gets here later at 10, and then tomorrow me and him are going to work a game plan together for the new opponent, Mike Davis.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds good. So with Mike Davis coming in on 4 days' notice, have you heard any word about Brock Weaver and why? Last time I heard it was an undisclosed reason that he left or wasn't able that he pulled out of the fight. Is there any word that you know of?
No, he called me and said that the UFC wouldn't let him fight, so we're going to have to wait until they say what's up.
Okay. And I have a question, as far as getting a new opponent, I feel like it's just as big of a weight on the opponent's shoulders as it is for you, since you've probably been preparing for Brock Weaver for weeks or months at a time. What is it like to get a new opponent on just a few days' notice?
For me, it's nothing really big. It's just the fact that I was worried about them moving the fight to a later card, or if I was going to if I have a fight at all. I didn't know, but it really is just another body they put in front of me because I'll fight anyone, anywhere, at any time, But I was training for a southpaw, and now I got an orthodox guy, so it's kind of a relief, really, because southpaws are hard on me.
Okay.
But, I was going to get it done anyway, but it's just another body for me to take care of.
So fighting Mike Davis now, his last fight in April, he lost to a rear naked choke, a submission, and 13 of your wins are via submission. Most of them triangle chokes, arm bars, and guillotines. Is that kind of maybe part of the game plan, maybe to try to get it to the floor, try to use some jiu-jitsu to get past this guy?
Yeah, it definitely is. It's part of the game plan, using feints and takedowns to get him to the ground. But mostly I'm just going to let my coaches put a game plan together, and I'm going to put it fully on them. They're going to tell me what to do, and I'm going to execute the game plan they have for me.
Awesome.
Absolutely. And hey, in 25 fights, you've only gotten a decision 4 times. You kind of have this air about you of finish or be finished. What is that inspired from? Do you have a childhood memory that taught you to fight that way, or is it just in your persona?
Actually, yeah. When I was 13, I went to the judges on my first boxing match, and I lost to decision. And I had a couple boxing matches that I lost to decision that I actually think that I won. And they were like, you can't let it go to the judges. You got to make sure that you're a dominant fighter, that you take these guys out. And when I transitioned to MMA, I was like, oh, no, I'm never going to decision. I don't want to ever have that feeling. And I've always had a finish or be finished mentality since then.
Very cool.
That's awesome. Is your fighting style completely based off of when you go in? Do you know exactly what you're going to do, or is it are you more of a go with the flow fighter with that mentality of like, I gotta finish? Is it, I'm gonna knock this guy out because I know that he moves a certain way, or I know that once he gets to the ground he keeps this he gives me his back, or whatever it is?
The first round's always about intel. It's just go out there, have fun, flow, and get some intel on this guy. In the second round, we'll tell you exactly what to do, what he's doing wrong, and what you need to do to capitalize on it. And it's always worked out for me because once people find out, oh my goodness, this guy hits hard, he's super fast, they shoot for a takedown, and then they realize, oh man, I messed up, this guy's super good at submissions, I wasn't ready for this. So they're really in a fluster in the first round, in the first couple minutes, because on the ground I'm deadly, and on the feet I'm deadly. So either way it goes, they're in trouble. So, yeah, that's really what it goes for. Because once I get intel and I figure it out, the second round, you're truly in trouble because I know exactly what you're going to do. I know exactly how strong you are. I know exactly what my advantages are against you.
Very cool. Speaking of that, you've had just a couple of days to research Mike Davis and his fighting style. If you had to give a prediction, let's say, of how you win this fight, I know you're not going to say to the decision because that's just not who you are. But if you could give a prediction, a certain choke submission or a certain type of submission or possibly a KO.
Definitely. I think it's going to be a second round submission. Most likely either from rear naked choke or a guillotine because I'm going to put him in trouble early in the first round. And like he did his second fight, once he goes to the ground and gets in trouble, most fighters do this. They turn their back, they get to the cage, and they try to stand up. They turn their back to their opponent, and that's a thing different about me. I don't like turning my back. I hated it. Coach told me, he's like, turn your back, get up, use the cage in my last fight. And I was like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm going to keep in guard. I'm going to stay right here. I'm never turning my back to my opponent to give them that opportunity because that's one of my worry spots. If somebody's got my back, that's when my mind gets flustered for myself. So I definitely see me implementing that game plan in there to where in the second round, put it on him, put him on it hard, and if he hits the ground, he's going to turn his back, and I'm going to be looking for that rear naked choke submission. Or he's going to figure out, hey, I got to beat this guy by taking him down and laying on him, and he's going to shoot a sloppy shot, and I'm going to get that guillotine.
Absolutely. I was actually just working guillotines like 20 minutes ago. I was at jiu-jitsu, so that's awesome. Nice. So with that, I wanted to bring up the matchup again between you and Mike. You both are 27 years old. However, you have almost 3 times the amount of professional fights as he has. What kind of, in your mind, how much of an advantage is that you have so much more experience, you have so much more time in the octagon professionally and in multiple different fighting companies and things like that?
It's definitely a big jump. People don't realize it, but before I even thought about MMA, before I even knew about it, I've had 50 boxing matches in amateur rankings, And then I had kickboxing matches. I had multiple sparring partners. And then when I wanted to get MMA, I sparred in MMA millions of times. I had a couple grappling matches. And then I had my first fight. I have such a base of fighting. Since I was 13, I probably had over 100 fights completely in between all 3 by the time I was 18 to 19 years old when I turned pro. So my experience is definitely a big advantage over everybody that I go against. Me and Luis Pena were actually talking about it today. We were like, everybody's like, oh, man, 4 or 5 fights, I'm going to try to get to UFC. Or, hey, man, I'm 6-0 as an amateur. I'm going to go pro and make some money, They don't realize that experience is what makes the better fighters.
Yeah, I was actually just talking to my jiu-jitsu professor, and he was telling me about a pro fighter who didn't train until like 4 or 5 fights into his amateur career. And then that's what made, everything change for him was when he actually just started training, which is kind of funny. But anyways.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It's the training and the experience is definitely everything when you're trying to go pro and make money and you get into these big leagues with these guys who would know exactly what they're doing.
It's a different league. It's a different, ball game. So.
Yeah, when they said there's levels to this, they are meaning it. They're definitely meaning it. I figured that out when I fought Roberts. I was like, oh, I can take him. Oh, I'm ready for the UFC. And then when I got there, I was like, man, this guy's just as good as me on the ground. This guy's just as good as me standing up. I got to be able to do something different. I got to up my game. I got to get on that level. And that's when I made the move to Factory X.
What kind of transition was that like? Was that just more hours in the gym? Was that different styles of training, learning new types of martial arts, new style, or what was that like?
It's the level of training partners.
Oh, okay.
I have. When I went up there, and Mark Montoya has had over 50 UFC fighters. I don't know how many fights he's had, but I mean, he's an old man, so he's had tons of fights. He's had tons of experience with fighters. So just that high level coaching and the high level competitors that I were going against is a totally different story. Because now when I go back home, I'm more teaching than I am learning from guys back home. I just want to get in, put some work in, and teach a little bit, and give them a little bit of insight what I've been going through and what it's like.
Very cool. Speaking of some insight, being a teacher, it's pretty much up in the air that you have the best hair in the UFC, at least the best hair in the lightweight division. Do you do anything specific for it, or is it just awful, like having to cornrow it or to put it up for fights?
No, not at all. It's actually pretty decent. I tell everybody, I was like, all I do is I get out of bed and I brush it, and then I go. My hair is naturally like this. I don't have any hair products, anything I don't do to it. I grab it and I wrap it around my hand 4 or 5 times in a knot, and I put it in a big ponytail, and then I go. And coach is like, "You're gonna have to fight for that hair." I'm like, "Okay, that's cool." I had to fight 2 5-minute rounds against Yusuf Zahal and Devontae Smith, and I mean, I come out on top, so I got to keep my hair instead of shaving it all off. But it's not that big of a deal. It's actually a hassle on everybody else, because when they get up, they get it out of their beard or they got it off their sweat and they're all over them. They're like, "Man, your hair." Be like, "It's not my fault. Coach let me keep it. I fought for this hair. You're gonna have to deal with it."
Have you ever spoken to Clay Guida about how he handles his hair in the octagon?
No, I actually, when I went to Team Alpha Male last December, I wanted to meet him, but he wasn't in training camp and he wasn't down. But I don't think he worries about it, and he don't give a crap. If it gets in his way, he'll like blow it out the way and keep going.
Well, you very much personify the nickname of the young lion. Does that have anything to do with your hair, or was that a nickname you've had for a while?
Oh, no, it's a nickname I've had for a while. My jiu-jitsu coach, when I first started, when I was 15 years old, he told me I was courageous and I was like a young lion, because eventually I'm going to be king one day. And not to mention, I'm a preacher's kid, and it's a Bible term. It's pretty much a symbol for the lion. The lion is a symbol for the tribe of Judah, which is one of the 12 tribes of Israel.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. Very cool. Well, I have just one more question.
Go ahead. Yeah.
So you're a lightweight fighter. You've got one UFC fight under your belt. I know this might be a little bit premature with all the, the stuff going on at the top of the table with the lightweight division, but is there anyone in the division that you hope to see in the next year and a half, 2 years? Is there anyone in the lightweight division that you just can't stand?
Not really. I can't stand. It's just that I've looked up to them, and they were the guys that wanted me to get here. I wanted to get here to fight. I wanted to be against them, and it's Joe Lozon and Brock Weaver are 2 people that I've always wanted to go against, because ever since I got the fight with them, I've been dead set on them, and then they canceled on me. And everybody here that I've talked to, they're like, "Man, we're so sad that Brock was out. We were really looking forward to y'all brawling." And I mean, that's definitely going to be the first person I call out is Brock Weaver, because we're going to have that fight. That's going to be a fight for the people, let alone Jesus Christ is going to win on that one, because we're both repping his name, and we're both going to go out on our shields and be warriors, and we're going to show them what fight of the night really is from 2 country guys who know how to throw down.
That's incredible.
And Joe Lozon he's had multiple fights. He's a great submission guy, and I actually I heard his name when I was looking for a fight to come up, and he ended up choosing some other guy instead of me. So it's definitely another name that I want to put under my belt to fight against, because I've watched him from day one, and he is now a veteran. And this is my second fight in the UFC, fighting a guy who's new to the UFC. And when I win this fight, I want a veteran. I want to be able to say that, "Hey, I fought Joe Lozon. Hey, I beat Joe Lozon, or I got in the cage with Joe Lozon." He's always been an inspiration to me, and I want to share the octagon with him.
Are you looking for that fight of the night on Saturday?
Oh, definitely. Even though Brock Weaver's out, I'm definitely looking for a fight of the night. Me and Mike Davis, we're going to stand and bang.
Awesome.
Love it.
We love it. Well, we'll be cheering for you.
Yeah, hey,
appreciate it
so much. Seriously, thank you so much. We appreciate it. God bless. We'll seriously be watching every minute of your fight. We're super pumped for you. So thank you again.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it, Thomas.
Right.
Have a good one and good
Thanks
luck.
for having me.